Brian Randall Shaffer was born on the 25th of February 1979 in Ohio in the United States. He was the son of Randy and Renee Shaffer and had a younger brother called Derek. Brian was very popular and found it very easy to make friends. In addition, he had always been a scholar ever since high school. In 1997, at age 18, Brian began working part-time at JCPenney's, a large department store. He stayed there until 2002, when he decided to leave to focus on his studies at college, where he was studying microbiology. At the age of 24, he graduated from college and started working as a radiology technician assistant in the city of Columbus at Ohio State University, and taking advantage of some completed subjects, he applied for the medical course in 2004 and was approved. The following year, 2005, Brian's mother passed away after a long battle with myelodysplasia, a rare type of cancer that affects the bone marrow, which is responsible for producing blood cells. He was very attached to his parents, and this loss shook him a lot. During this phase, Brian was dating student Alexis Wagoner, and after Renee's death, Brian began to go into a deep sadness, reaching the point of wanting to end the relationship.
I love you so much, but I've been in this anguish for a long time. I don't know if I'll get out of this. Maybe you'd be happier with someone else, because I can't even bring myself joy lately.
Don't say that, Brian. I'm your girlfriend, and I'm here to help you too. Let's get out of this together.
Alexis promised and delivered. As the months went by, Brian returned to the joy he had always showed. Of course, he still missed his mother, but he came to accept it in a better way. The help he received made the relationship so much stronger, to the point where Brian started to think about marrying Alexis. Despite his medical studies, Brian had already told his friends that his studies were temporary because his dream was to live on a tropical island, being part of a musical band and managing his own bar for tourists. He was an avid music consumer and a big fan of the band Pearl Jam. He even had a tattoo of this band on his right arm. On his social network, MySpace, he wrote,
I'm a sophomore medical student at Ohio State University, with just 2 years to go. I have an amazing, sexy, and very fun girlfriend. I really love music, and this whole medicine thing is just a temporary job until I get my band together and put out an album. I want one day to have an island, or at least a beach, listen to my favorite songs all day, and drink margaritas with my miss.
In 2006, Brian and his girlfriend planned a trip to Miami on April 3rd. He even told several friends that on his trip, he would ask her to marry him. The trip was scheduled for this date because a week before it would be the last week of college exams, and because he would be living, studying, often turning in long nights. He didn't want to waste time, and as soon as the exams were over, he would have a weekend with friends from college, and on Monday, he would travel with Alexis. On Friday, March 31st, Brian went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a pub above a Mexican restaurant near the college. The street where these restaurants were located was in a well-known happy hour spot in the region, with several other pubs around. The nights were always super busy. There, Brian met his former university roommate William Florence. Alexis couldn't meet them that night as she was visiting her parents in Toledo, a place nearly 2.5 hours by car. But she was very excited to return on Saturday and travel with Brian on Monday. Brian also called up to invite his brother Derek, but Derek already had plans with his girlfriend, and they ended up not going. Friends arrived at the bar around 9 p.m, and at 10 p.m, Brian made a call to his girlfriend.
Alexis, my love, what a pity you aren't here tonight.
It's all right. We'll see each other tomorrow. On Monday, we'll travel to Miami. I'm so excited.
Me too.
So who's out there with you? What are your plans for tonight?
I'm with Will here, and we're going to start the bar crawl.
Just don't go overboard, okay? Enjoy the night.
I'll take care of myself. Don't worry.
Call me tomorrow morning.
I will. Love you. Bye, babe.
I love you too. Goodbye.
The bar crawl that Brian refers to is the activity in which visitors pass through several bars in one night and have one drink at each of these places. At the last bar, the Short North, they found a friend of Will's named Meredith Reed. From there, they returned to the Ugly Tuna, arriving there at 1:15 a.m. on April 1st. They stayed a little longer, and started getting ready to leave because the venue would close at 2 a.m. But he said that he would talk to the band as soon as they finished playing the last song. The problem was that Brian didn't even get to talk to the band. The bar closed, and Will and Meredith went outside and waited for him. Everyone left. They were the last ones at the door, and Brian didn't show up. He was just gone. William tried to call his cell phone, but no one answered. Unable to talk to him, they headed home, assuming Brian had caught a ride with other friends, or maybe found an after-party to prolong his night. On Saturday, Brian didn't call Alexis, and she tried calling him, and this time...
Hi, this is Brian. I'm sorry, I can't take your call right now, but please leave a message, and I'll call you back.
When the afternoon arrived, she went straight to her boyfriend's apartment, but when she got there, no one answered the door. She called her brother-in-law and then her father-in-law, who also hadn't heard from him. During the afternoon and night, everyone tried to call him, but to no avail. Sunday was the same. No one made contact, nor did Brian make any communication to them. During the night, Randy asked Derek to go to his brother's apartment and see if he was already there. Maybe his cell phone had been stolen, maybe he lost it on Saturday. Anything could have happened. Derek went to the place, and outside saw that Brian's apartment light was on. Derek climbed the stairs, and was starting to feel relieved.
Derek?
Alexis? Where's Brian? Is he here yet?
No, he isn't.
And what are you doing here?
I've been waiting for him since yesterday. I slept here. I even thought it was him knocking on the door now with the lost key.
He's never disappeared like this.
Oh my God, Derek. I'm so worried.
I'm worried too.
Arriving in almost 48 hours without hearing from Brian, they remembered that the next day the couple were going to have their trip to Miami, and before involving the police, they decided that Alexis could go to the airport and wait for him there, because maybe he'd show up. She went, but Brian didn't show up. Where could Brian be? So they went to the police to report the disappearance. After Alexis and Derek had explained everything that happened, the police began the investigation by talking to family and friends. An amount of $2,000 was being offered by the police and $5,000 by the university for anyone who knew of information that would lead to the resolution of the case. The police also saw that Brian's car was parked near his apartment all this time, and inside the apartment nothing had been taken. Clothes, suitcases, and even some documents were there. The police then went to the bar to focus on the investigations there. It was detected that the bar had only a single entrance and exit for customers, an entrance and exit for employees, and an emergency exit. All of the passages had cameras. The last time Brian was seen was at 1:55 a.m. going up the escalator that gives access to the entrance to the bar and talking to two girls. After reaching the bottom of the stairs, he says goodbye to the girls and goes to meet his friends. It was at this time that he said he would talk to the band's staff, and this was the last time he was seen, both by people and by security cameras. It's weird to say this, but Brian just vanished into thin air. Brian was not seen leaving the bar by any cameras at this time, as the police had analysed all of the tapes frame by frame. There's nothing there. Even the chance that he had jumped out one of the windows, for whatever reason, was raised, but it was soon discarded because when the police questioned practically all the people who were in the bar, no one said that they saw anyone jump out of a window at 2 in the morning. In addition, the windows are more or less 6 meters high from the ground, and there was nothing there to cushion his jump, such as a garbage heap. The two girls Brian talked to were identified as his classmates. They informed the police that they talked about the exams and their vacations, but that the subject was limited to the time they went up the escalator. After that, they said their goodbyes. The blind spots of the cameras were few, and they were all inside the bar. All outputs were monitored. The police even requested camera footage from all the bars around the Ugly Tuna, hoping to find Brian walking past one of them, but he was not seen in any. A sweep was carried out throughout the region, with sniffer dogs, including dumps and even the sewage system. Nothing was found. The potential of kidnapping was raised, but due to the fact that Brian was not seen leaving, and that he hadn't contacted his family for any rescue, they ended up discarding that hypothesis. The police wanted to eliminate William and Meredith as suspects, as they were the last people to see Brian, and so they were asked to take a polygraph test. Meredith took the test without any inconsistencies in her answers. However, William informed through his lawyer, Neil Rosenberg, that he would not be taking the test. and that any conversations the police needed to have with him would now be mediated by the lawyer. This behaviour left Brian's friends and family very worried, and Derek, Brian's brother, later stated that despite not knowing William very well, he always thought there was something weird with him, because the way he talked about Brian's disappearance in some conversations, sometimes in a negative light, didn't seem like someone grieving for a missing friend. Later, William was invited again to take the polygraph test, and once again his lawyer informed the police that he would not be taking it. When asked why his client refused, the lawyer replied that the police seemed to be very concerned about why he didn't want to take the test, but that this was his right. He added that his client was refusing the test on his recommendation, not because he is cheating or hiding something, but because he has nothing new to declare. But everyone thought, if he did have nothing to hide, he could be much more helpful by taking the test, instead of creating these obstacles. And even though it is the right of any American citizen to refuse to take the polygraph test, this decision, unintentional or not, does influence public opinion. But investigations against him could not go much further, as nothing else incriminated him or made him suspicious in any way. He just didn't want to take this polygraph test. After weeks of investigation, the police concluded with 100% certainty that Brian didn't leave the bar via the escalators, and ended up with a hypothesis that he was killed and the body was still in the bar somewhere. So everywhere was searched, all the rooms and even the freezers, but nothing was found. In May, just over a month after the disappearance, Alexis received a call from the police.
Good morning, Alexis. This is the police.
Did you find Brian?
No, not yet. What happens is we got a call from one of his neighbors saying that his apartment has been broken into. We are here, but we need you to come with so you can check if something is missing here, so we can analyze if this has anything to do with the disappearance.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm going there now.
Several things in the apartment were missing, and they didn't seem like things that were connected or important, so it turned out that it was a common robbery by someone who had noticed that the place was empty, or who knew that this was the apartment of the missing man in town. Randy ended up creating the website findbrianshaffer.com in the hope of obtaining information that could help with the investigations. At the end of June, the band Pearl Jam played a show in Cincinnati, a city very close to Columbus, about an hour and 30 minutes away. On the night of the 24th, the lead singer of the band, Eddie Vedder, spoke to the audience about the case.
This last April, a young man named Brian Shaffer kind of went missing. He looks like he's in his 20s. He's 6'2", real handsome guy, and he's got a Pearl Jam tattoo on his upper right arm. And he's going to med school. You may have heard about this already. If you have, I apologize, but I don't think it would do any harm to bring it again to everybody's attention. If you look into this, it's out there. Findbrianshaffer.com. That's his name, Brian Shaffer. And it feels like he's one of our own. And if you have any information, there is a reward, but you can also remain anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers Ohio. There's information on NBC4, and like I said, he's one of us, and we miss him here tonight, and hopefully we can have a happy ending to this. If you have any information or idea, your friends.
2 years later, in September 2008, another tragedy would befall the Shaffer family. A strong storm passed through central Ohio, and after the event, Randy was outside clearing the wreckage. At about 6 p.m, an unexpected gust of wind passed through the place, knocking down a tree that hit him squarely, killing him instantly. Randy's obituary appeared online, and a profile commented on the post, "Dad, love you. Love Brian, US Virgin Islands." The police tracked the IP, but found that it was done by an imposter far away from the Virgin Islands. In just 4 years, Derek lost his mother, his father, and his brother was still missing. There was never any information about Brian again. Several theories emerged, and I'll name some of them for you. According to one, Brian chose to leave, as many believe that he actually couldn't deal with the depression caused after the loss of his mother. With dreams of living on his own island and isolating himself from the world, he had a conversation with Alexis so that she could move on without him, and he made up that he was improving psychologically, while at the same time planning to disappear. Many believe this theory, and they believe that Brian had the help of his friend William in escaping, and that this is the reason why he didn't take the polygraph test. Another theory says that he not only walked away, but took his own life, with severe depression and no sense to move on. But the fact that the body was never found questions this idea. There is another theory, still touted by a few, that says that Brian and William were getting involved in illegal affairs, maybe drugs, and things started to get ugly to the point where Brian was killed as a result, and that's why William refuses to take the polygraph. It's worth mentioning that William never had any trouble with the police before or after this case. Brian's brother Derek got married and moved out of the family home. He works in Ohio and remains hopeful that one day he will at least have an answer about his brother's whereabouts. Alexis is an obstetrician, married, has 2 children, and, to this day, interviews to talk about the case and help make Brian's image remain in the memory of many, so that maybe one day someone will find and recognize him. Brian Shaffer remains missing to this day.